Hi and welcome to an injury discussion video on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is the 4th of January. It's a late video, but we were graced with some injury updates on some of our players. Sam Walsh was the feature story from the Channel 7 news report. And basically, I think for me, this is just more of a documentation of the moment. I felt like it was something that needed to be documented. Now with Walshy, it's happened now. It's done. We've all said our piece. I felt a little bit of a frustration in the communication about it, just because of the standpoint of we were told something that he was going to be okay and he'd be training after Christmas and back running via a few sources. Cripps, Ash Hansen, Harry Mackay, and then obviously a week later, it turns out that he needs back surgery. It is what it is. There's only so much you can harp on about something, and I don't want this to be a video of just complaining about something that's already been complained about. But the other interesting one was Matt Cottrell. So there's a piece of footage in the Channel 7 news report of Matt Cottrell scooting himself with absolutely no pressure on his foot. He's got a moon boot on. I recall going to the last open session late December. It was like the Christmas session and the signing session. And I remember walking into the club and I remember seeing Matt Cottrell on one of the machines working on his upper body, and his right foot was in the moon boot. And I remember making a decision on that day not to do a training report video. And I remember saying to myself, don't say anything, because it might just be something as simple as a rolled ankle. And I didn't want to create hysteria around something that might have just been minor. He might have just had a little knock, whatever the case may be. On the 4th of January, obviously, we see the report. He's in the moon boot still, which to me is a little bit more alarming than what it was initially. And then Mitch Cleary's reporting that it's a stress-related issue in his foot. So then the next layer of thinking goes to, okay, well then has there been a conscious decision to not tell anybody about Matt Cottrell's injury? And, has there been a conscious decision to just allow it to play out? And obviously Channel 7 have picked up on it and they've made the report. So whatever, rightly, wrongly, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I've read a lot of the rhetoric around, don't be entitled. Just because you're a member doesn't mean you get to know all this information. Just because you're a fan doesn't mean you get to know all this information. Respect players' privacy and mental health issues. And I've seen all sorts of commentary around why one shouldn't be frustrated with this. And it's not a big deal, but I also do believe that the little thing, how you do one thing is generally how you do everything. And I just feel like in this moment, it's just another example of something that didn't need to happen, whereby some angst and some frustration is now being felt by the supporter base. So now it's a foot injury of sorts. Is he going to be okay? Most likely. It's not anywhere near as serious as what Sam Walsh's injury is. I would suggest, and I would guess at this point. But it also, for me, it just raises the question, like, why are we consciously choosing as a club to not talk about this information? Was there a decision around maybe not wanting to have this information come out to the fans, because then they might create some sort of narrative around it? And obviously, Andrew Russell is a big talking point. The strength and conditioning is a big talking point amongst the supporter base, and really it has been for the last few years. And so maybe they were just protecting that conversation from reopening. But I don't know. I feel like what this does is it just reopens the conversation, and it just creates another little layer of mistrust, which is something I thought we did a really good job of in 2022 with the way in which we communicated. I remember thinking, even in the preseason, the communication was different. And I think after seeing the Walsh thing happen and then sort of getting over it, and now seeing the Cottrell issue happen, I'm starting to think, oh, is this a pattern? Is a pattern emerging? And then there's the other side of me that thinks, like, whatever, you're not going to know. They're going to tell you when you're going to find out. When you find out, it is what it is. So I'm not getting too worked up about it, but I still feel like there's just something in it that can be done better. And I'd love to know why we have chosen with the Cottrell situation to just let it play out and let the mainstream media cover it. I guess I'll never know. Maybe I will one day. But I would love to get your thoughts. Like, is this communication an issue for you? Yes, no. I don't think there's a right answer. People feel how they feel about things and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not here to make any informed decision, medical opinion or anything like that because I don't have one. All I have as a supporter is the information that I see, whether it be through an email, an injury report, and the like. I think the other interesting thing for me was that because Cottrell's moon boot wasn't told to us by the club in that last injury report or in an injury report since I saw it, I just figured it's okay. It's not a big deal. And why make a big deal of something if it's not? And I actually really understand that. But now that we get to the point that it's like he's got a stress issue in his foot and he's still in a moon boot weeks later, that's where the frustration for me comes from. And it's like, why do we get ourselves in this situation when it could have just been knocked on the head? This is what it is. It's bad news. And so it's not terrible news, but it's also not good news. And so is this just what it is? Is this just something that has to be accepted? I guess maybe, I watch a lot of other sports. I watch the Premier League, I watch the NBA, and I watch how they list their injuries as well. And it's just done differently to the way we do it here in the AFL. Is that just a cultural thing that you just got to deal with and understand that this is just where we're at? But it's because of that I feel like we can be better. So I don't know. I don't subscribe to the fact that every club does it. So, that just is what it is. Well, I don't care what other clubs are doing. I want to support a club that is, displaying best practice with everything. And I think communication to the fans is one of them. So I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I do think it is enough of a deal to make a video. I guess I want to gather some of your thoughts. Like, what do you think about this injury communication thing that happens? Is it a big deal? Is it not? Do you look at the little things? Do you look at them and say to yourself, this is just a microcosm of a bigger issue? Or is it just January and not everybody's working? Some people are away and there's just not enough resources to get an injury report out. So I'm curious. Let me know what you think in the comments below and we'll chat about it there.